kids content in the early 2010s really was something else. From the certified hood classics like Gumball, Adventure Time, and of course Regular Show.
You want some milk?
Yeah.
To more independent stuff like Pinkman screaming at Bear on interweb. However, nothing can be more iconic than the array of live-action shows created by Nickelodeon. Given just how many of these they spawned over the years, it's honestly insane how much some of these captivated us as kids. Keyword some. However, one of these shows that stands above the rest in just how insane it could get, as well as things like its backstage drama and swift cancellation, this is a look at the insanity that was Victorious. However, before we start, I'd like to inform you all that only 11% of everybody watching this right now is subscribed. So if you want to support the channel and help me make more videos like this, consider hitting that subscribe button right down there. It's free and you can always change your mind at any point. But without any further ado, let's head right into Victorious. So I should probably preface that this isn't really going to be a front-to-back retrospective on the whole entire show, more so just the highlights and the most iconic and popular episodes throughout its run, as well as the ones I have personal attachments to. So you've been warned, but I guess let's just head in with the basic plot of the show. Now it of course centers around who else but our main character, Tori Vega. Played by the one and only Victoria Justice, who attends a performing arts school in LA known as Hollywood Arts, alongside her quirky cast of friends. And honestly, she's kinda just a basic character, all things considered. She's just sort of that blank main character that all the little girls can relate to, who gets herself into some wacky situations every week, and she's sometimes not the sharpest tool in the shed. So moving on, we get her sister Trina, who unlike Tori is extremely annoying and nobody likes her.
The song was your present.
How much did it cost?
It didn't cost money.
Then it's not a present.
And she often puts the entire friend group into peril. I remember thinking that she was really funny when I was a kid, but nowadays she's just kind of there for me. I don't really have any strong opinions on this character. 6 out of 10. And then there's Jade, who's like an evil, fucked up version of our main hero. She wears dark clothing and has piercings and dyed hair and all that crazy stuff. And she's pretty much just bitter rivals with Tori and just kind of hates her guts for some reason.
Try this coffee and tell me what it tastes like.
Hazelnut?
I don't know, I found it in the garbage.
And she's probably one of the most entertaining characters on the show. Since looking back, she's kind of just a vindictive asshole for no reason. And rewatching the show now, it can get pretty funny, honestly. Like, she's pretty much just Sam from iCarly using 100% of her power.
But the most surprising part of the play happened at the end when the monster gouged out Priscilla's eyes, which for whatever reason I found really funny.
Oh yeah, and she really likes scissors. She likes collecting them and she puts them all over her locker and stuff. You know, it's kind of like her whole shtick. And then we got Andre, who is again one of the highlights of the cast, since he's honestly not that generic, and every time someone tells him or asks him something, he'll either reply with something snarky and sarcastic, or just something plain stupid and funny. He very rarely misses.
Cheese. Let's not do cheese.
After him, though, we've got the one and only Cat Valentine, who you may remember from such classic things as Fortnite and the CD aisle at Walmart. Cause yeah, she's of course played by the one and only Ariana Grande. Ooh. And this is just a complete side tangent, but I do not care. How in Christ does anybody look at this woman and not just see her as Cat from Victorious? Like, I swear to God, so many people talk about how great her music is and all that stuff, and how she's some icon of the celebrity world. I see her on magazines and news articles all the time.
Does that hat take 10 gallons?
And I'm like, bro, that's that lady who talks like, ah ha 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 ha. Because that's kind of just her whole character. She's incredibly nitwitted and full of nothing but pure innocence and joy. And she's probably the most iconic character for the whole show, given how relevant Ariana Grande is now, and how unique she was compared to the rest of the cast. But after her, we get easily the best character in the entire show, Robbie Shapiro. Robbie's pretty much your standard nerd character who, A, is very respectable in his craft, and B, is shit on and torn down by everyone around him. And plus, how can I not mention the iconic character of Rex, his ventriloquist puppet that he carries around most of the time, and uses for quippy one-liners and such. And it's a common source of contention between him and his friend group.
I see your puppet. Are you still taking your puppet to school?
Rex is not a puppet. He's not a
But no doubt, he's easily the most entertaining character out of the whole gang, just based off his line delivery and how he interacts with the other characters. Absolute G. Then we have the guy whose name I forgot. Oh yeah, this is Beck. And he's just kind of there. Like, no doubt, he's probably the most forgettable cast member. Remember how I said that Tori was sort of a blank slate? Yeah, this guy is that, but he isn't the main character of the show whose name is in the title, so he doesn't get a pass. Like, I guess he's sort of calm and laid back compared to everyone, I guess. And he's the late epic Hollywood hot guy. But other than that, there's not really anything else to say about him at all. He's Jade's boyfriend. I guess there's that. I mean, I don't got a vendetta against the guy or anything. He's just so forgettable compared to everyone else. What else we got? We got Mr. Psychowitz, who is the crazy, unprofessional teacher who likes to sip coconut milk all day and always gets into wacky situations. I like Mr. Sikowitz a lot.
Wait, what's happening in the janitor's closet?
Just make sure you're there in the next 60
And then there's just one kid who shows up every now and then who's a complete incel, and he looks and acts like Pogo's Pizzeria, so I'm gonna refer to him as such. But that's pretty much the entire main cast. As you can see, it's a range of peak cinema to sort of forgettable, I guess. So I suppose let's go and take a look at some of their best outings. But before that, I need to acknowledge the absolute banger of a theme song the show has. Come on, you all know the words.
Here I am, once again, feeling lost now and then.
It's super cheesy, but it's such a bop, who cares? Also, for some reason, between seasons, they changed the color of the spray paint in this one shot from blue to orange. I don't know why. It really confused me out as a kid, and I need more people to know I'm not insane. But anyway, I'm not really going in any order. So let's start out with the iconic episode where they all get trapped in the RV. Starting at school, it's blistering hot out in the land of Hollywood. And by the way, I'm not really sure if I like the fact this whole thing's set in Hollywood, since on one hand, it's pretty unique for kid show standards, and we get a lot of cool Hollywood shots. But on the other hand, I live in butt-f*** middle of nowhere Vermont, so it's depressing to me. But anyway, as the whole gang is complaining about how hot it is, we find out that Jade just doesn't sweat for some reason. Like, it's not that she can't, she just apparently chooses not to do that. Aight then.
Is it true that sweat and pee are like cousins?
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
And by the way, I remember the types of tables that they sit at during all the lunch scenes in this show. And whenever I'd see these tables in real life, I'd be like, whoa, Andre sat here. So they all make a plan to go to the beach. What fun.
Does it worry you that you never sweat?
No.
But what if one day all your sweat like builds up inside and you just explode?
I would love that.
But then a large and in-charge fat man parked his big fat RV in front of their fat fucking door. So now they're permanently trapped in the combustion chamber that is their RV, and are likely to die of heat stroke before the sun falls. But the thing is, Kat immediately ran out when they parked because she had to go to the bathroom. So while Kat was on her way back and was gonna help them out, she gets sidelined by some hunky dudes. So all her friends' death warrants have now been signed. And by the way, I haven't mentioned this yet, but a lot of the transitions in this show are just like, dear God, like they are just off the hook crazy. Like they're so fast and sudden and so loud compared to everything else. Like, just look at this. However, Tora remembers that she packed a fan with her.
It's not big.
It's an embarrassment.
You teased us.
So was that, like, a dick joke? What was that? I honestly can't tell. But the fan pretty much immediately breaks and leaves our crew in peril. But then after a kerfuffle between Tori and Trina, we find out that Trina's been hoarding water this whole time. A grand 1 bottle of it. You bitch! There's unfortunately barely any left, so they all share 1 cap of water. And as they go around the room, Robbie just up and sucks the whole cap dry. My man, come on, I thought you were better than this. And then we see Jade sweating for the first time in her life, and Kat continues to dick around as her friends are literally gonna die. So Robbie resorts to drinking dirty fish tank water, and I'm not even joking, they all start singing the Victorious theme song to boost morale. And because of that, Kat returns and opens the door, I guess. Because it turns out the big fat man had left, and they pretty much could have just gotten out of the RV at any point, but they don't really care as they now go to enjoy the beach. Yippee. But as we fade out, we get to see Fat Biscuit see his RV one more time.
We got some times in there. Don't talk about it.
This one's just a classic since we get to see pretty much the whole main cast interacting with each other and bickering for an entire episode. It's literally just the character elevator test on an actual screen. Like, we have a bunch of amazing lines and moments from this gangster episode. That actually reminds me of a point I wanted to mention earlier, and it's the question of how does this main cast even hang out? Like, it seems like all they do is just hate each other. Like, for pretty much every episode I've rewatched for this video, they're always in some sort of argument and just hating each other. I mean, it works and makes for a better show, of course, but if this is in real life, this would be the most toxic friend group I've ever seen. This is why you never make friends with popular kids. And adding this part in later, I found out while editing that apparently when Robbie put sunscreen on Rex, the paint on the doll got all messed up, so they replaced him in the 2nd season, so from season 2 onward, this is now Rex Mark II. Sorry to interrupt the current goings-on, but I'd like to take a minute to thank today's sponsor, N-Sabers, who were gracious enough to send me this wicked-ass Darth Maul lightsaber for me to review and show you guys. This thing is quite easily one of the coolest things I've ever held, and I shook Richard Horvitz's hand. I know what I'm talking about. It's a really good weight, but it's not super heavy at the same time. And especially when you put the blades on the ends, it really makes it feel truly powerful. And then when you turn it on, it has this awesome animation of the saber igniting. And it actually goes from the bottom to the top. It is just insane to look at in real life. And plus it can change to pretty much any color you want, as well as having all different types of animations and startups and sound effects, which are all fully customizable and swappable with each other. Like, for example, this cool rainbow one. Pride Month may be over, but this still goes hard. And plus, this Darth Maul saber can actually split into 2. So this one's a built-in 2-player experience. And speaking speaking of, all their sabers are completely battle ready, and the blades are designed to take a beating, so you don't have to worry about whacking into something too hard and risking damage to the actual lightsaber staff. And plus they offer some bonus items you can get, like for example this awesome display stand they sent me, which works wonders. So go to nsabers.com right now via the link in the description, and pick from their extremely wide variety of all different lightsabers throughout the entire Star Wars mythos. And thanks again to N-Sabers for sponsoring this video. But next up, let's look at the episode where Kat's favorite actress passed away. So the gang decides to hop in a car and go pay their respects. All for their different reasons. Kat because she genuinely liked the actress. Tori because she wants to support Kat in her trying time. And Jade because
Because it's been less than 24 hours, which means her spirit is still lingering. So I'll be able to breathe in the fumes of her soul.
So they all meet up, and by the way, I find these weird texting phone transitions to be really funny, because normally it was just like the most generic phone ever, but then they switched it to the pair phone, which is really funny looking. And plus it always has Tori putting a Facebook post that only 4 people are gonna like. But anyway, we cut back to our dynamic trio, who are on their way to meet up with the ghost lady, but then Kat drops the bombshell that it's actually 2 hours away in San Diego. So when they refuse, she starts mewing in the back or something and decides to make them go on their merry way. So then we cut to Trina, who's putting a baby in a microwave like Ezra Miller, because she has a date with Beck for a reason that I forgot to mention earlier. And while Tori, Kat, and Jade are getting absolutely soaked, they eventually make it to a gas station where they go in the trunk for tools, so they can fix the top on the convertible, and they find they find a bag of feet. Dan!
Why does your brother have a bag of fake feet in the trunk of his car?
I'm not gonna lie, my brother's pretty weird.
Then a clown shows up. Not sure why, but he does. And then we cut back to Trina's house where this happens.
Don't tell me what to do. You're Canadian? Oh!
And then during the transition, Tori texts about how much she hates Canadians, and she gets canceled on Twitter for it.
I am soaking wet. We all are. Do you not hear our feet squishing?
Stan! And then when they get to the actor's house, turns out she was alive the whole time because Kat's a bumbling fucking idiot. Then she sprays the girls with a super soaker, telling them to get the hell off her land. Oh yeah, and that whole thing with Beck and Trina escalates, and now Robbie and Andre are fighting over her because yeah. But it turns out the whole thing was just a ruse the whole time to mess with her, since she was spreading rumors about Beck or whatever. Is that the king? Is that fucking King Strongbottom from SML movie, The Fly Problem, in my damn Victorious episode? God damn it! No! After that though, let's look at the episode that traumatized me as a child, the one where Rex dies. Right after our dream team gets this giant sucky machine to simulate a tornado for a play they're doing, Tori accidentally sucks Rex into the giant mega machine of death, and Robbie is absolutely devastated. And it's weird to say, but it's honestly not even that cringe. Like, I don't know, I kind of feel bad for Robbie in these scenes. I mean, his acting here is just god tier. It just really makes you feel for the guy. And then after Kat, Tori, Beck, and Jade tell Robbie they're going to the hospital with Rex, they of course lie because, you know, he's a doll. But Jade says they actually should, because then they can hook him up to a bunch of wires and stuff and quote-unquote kill him. And Robbie will finally move on from this weird puppet lifestyle. But you know, a doctor ain't gonna do that. So he makes a deal for Tori to go out with the doctor's son in exchange for the puppet death scene. Oh yeah, and Kat gets sent to the psych ward because she's a goddamn nut job. And I just really love the fact that this doctor is taking time away from the patients that are probably dying, all to do this weird bit with the puppet that's very respectable. And when Robbie comes in, he wants Tori to stay with him, as he says his final goodbyes to Rex. And Robbie has Tori sing to Rex as he fucking dies. And like I said, you really can feel for Robbie here. His line delivery is just perfect in the whole episode. But then when they're all walking out, Tori decides to turn the machines back on and bring our poor man back to life, officially making Robbie an incel once more.
Speak to me, buddy!
I'm over here stroking.
And then afterwards, we get to see what the doctor's son looked like. And Tori actually sent Trina on the date to cover for her. And the son's just a looker, I'll tell you what. Oh yeah, and they never resolved the thing of Kat being stuck in the psych ward. Like, there ain't no post-credit scene or nothing, she's just in there for the rest of her life. After that, though, what about the episode Wi-Fi in the Sky? Oh yeah, and I haven't really mentioned this yet, but like, you know how iCarly was themed around the internet and all that? Yeah, well, it's kind of the same thing here, but instead of a web show, it's much more about social media and texting and all that cool, epic gamer kid stuff.
Come to this website often? Help! I'm being held captive by a nerd! Man, this is humiliating. That's the kind of chiz America wants to see.
I'm over here stroking.
But anyway, the whole episode takes place on an airplane with Tori and Trina. And while Tori's having a Discord VC with her boys, her, Andre, Beck, and Kat try to get their school paper done. And like, she just has her computer on without headphones in. Like, if I was sitting next to her on this plane, I'd tell her to shut the fuck up. And eventually Tori yells at Kat and makes her leave out of shame. And after this, we get some random asshat behind Trina who keeps kicking her seat for some reason. Like, bro is just an actual supervillain in this. He does not care whatsoever. And then Robbie keeps trying to join the call because he wants to be included, I guess. And eventually, after being banned, he makes an alt account, only to get banned again like a true gamer. and then Jade joins to see what Beck is doing, and after finding out he's dog sitting for his neighbor cheerleader, she comes over to confront him, and then when she breaks down his door, we see Puggo's Pizzeria joining the call, and
Where did you get that lamp?
I bought a $1 FNAF mystery box.
Are you in my house?
And then Beck and Jade get into an argument about some 9-year-old or something. And then we find out that Trina stole some camera from a famous guy in first class. And then we start some Looney Tune-ass cartoon battle in the middle of the plane. And let's just analyze everything in the scene. You've got Trina and Perez Hilton fighting over the camera. Tori, who's just trying to finish her damn essay. And then Trina kicks that shithead in the face. Meanwhile, the deadbeat dad in the back is doing nothing per usual. And meanwhile, the flight attendant's just off to the side eating peanuts. God, this is some multiverses shit. However, next up, we get to the episode. Easily the most iconic episode in the entire lineage of television. The episode which contains the greatest musical mastermind of this millennia. The greatest human being to ever exist. Queen Beelzebub herself, Kesha. And when Kesha partners with an ice cream brand, she has a contest where if you're able to find 5 letters that spell out her name within different pints of ice cream, you'd win a private concert by Kesha herself. So the whole gang ends up trying to find all the different letters with a bajillion pints of ice cream, and eventually they have K, E, and A, and then Robbie goes to try to give a bunch of the leftover ice cream to the local kids at the park. He's kind of unsuccessful, as a bunch of the moms there thought he was an EDP and they started beating the hell out of him.
Oh, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
But even worse news is that somebody wins the competition. No Kesha, no Kesha. So when all hope is lost, it turns out that the guy was a bleeding faker, and the hunt is now back on.
Say it again.
Okay.
I have like a rainbow in my vagina.
And they were actually able to find an H, meaning all that's left is the $sign. And according to Robbie and his big fuck-off pear pad, the S would most likely be in their least popular flavor, known as Funky Nut Blast. You cannot make this up. Our gang rushes into the convenience store to experience Robbie's Funky Nut Blast, but unfortunately the only one they have on the shelf simply has a stinky H. But then they find a random-ass hooligan child with some Funky Nut Blast, who actually managed to get the S, and he'll give our heroes the Funky Nut Blast, but at a price.
I want to kiss you. And her. And, the freaky one.
You better stop there.
But they win the concert, and the one and only Kesha comes to Tori's house and sings Blow, creating the greatest scene in Nickelodeon history. However, afterwards, our little incel in training has some choice words.
You and those 2 chicks owe me some lips.
So they just lock him out of the house, but then Trina lets him back in like a moron, and when she offers to kiss him, our bro goes full ultra incel.
Gross.
Thus ending our episode. I mean, what must I even say here? They made an entire episode relating to God. I think you can assume this is probably my favorite episode of the whole series. And they honestly did a pretty good job incorporating a celebrity into the episode. I mean, hell, it's only slightly better than Chef Pee Pee Goes to Hollywood. But yeah, I think you can assume the guy with the Beelzebub shrine in his house is gonna like this episode a lot. God bless you, Kesha. But afterwards, I think it's time we move on to what is probably the most popular and iconic episode of the entire show. I mean, according to the whole stupid public opinion and all. But without a doubt, the most influential and remembered episode of Victorious history is Season 3, Episode 10 of iCarly, I Party with Victorious. The long-awaited crossover between Nick's flagship live-action shows, and this one leaves nothing to be desired, as it clocks in at over an hour and 10 minutes, fulfilling everybody's most wildest fantasy. Starting out with a custom intro that's an absolute banger and goes through the whole cast of both shows. It's just like Endgame. And starting out, we get introduced to Carly's new boyfriend, whose name I don't remember and I don't want to look it up, so let's just call him Don Cheadle. And everybody absolutely adores Don Cheadle, as he goes to LA every month to spend time with his dad. But then we cut to Hollywood, California, where the one and only Tori Vega is watching iCarly on her MacBook, and that lying bastard Don Cheadle is hanging out with Tori. I knew he was a menace.
I wonder if that Gibby guy's playing a character, or if he's just that weird.
And as we cut to the iconic lunch table, we see Andre, who due to his dad selling a house to him, the one and only Kenan Thompson is allowing them to throw a party at his brand new mega mansion, which is interesting because Kenan Thompson is known for Kenan and Kel and Good Burger on Nickelodeon, but they're also on Nickelodeon. What are the rules of this universe? However, Robbie takes a picture of the two and puts it on his slap.com page, which I don't think I mentioned the slap.com. It's like their social media, Twitter, nonsensical thing. But it's found by the iCarly gang, so whoa, we get a wacky dilemma right in front of our very eyes. And it's kind of funny because Sam says that Tori looks like Shelby Marks, who is a character Victoria Justice guest starred as on iCarly, who is like an entirely separate character from Tori Vega, so that's kind of goofy.
Let me see this girl who, whoa, that is quite...
High schooler. That is a high schooler, Spencer. What are you doing?
I mean, it's
It's alright, like...
And we cut to Mr. Siekowitz's acting class, and we learn that Kat has some vocal cord condition, so she can't say a word. And like, I'm not sure why they thought this would be a good idea. Like, I tried looking it up, there's not like a reason Ariana Grande wasn't able to talk for this. So they just made the intentional decision that most of this entire episode is going to be her not talking. I have no clue as to why. But as we go back to Seattle, Carly and Sam are going back and forth on whether Don Cheadle's a cheatin' Cheadle.
And then I typed :P.
That means she stuck her tongue out.
I know all about :P.
And Kat gets a headband which allows her to communicate with the outside world.
Last night, my brother bit my foot.
Damn! And Andre gives a stern talking to Rex and Robbie, as supposedly Rex tweeted about the party when he wasn't supposed to.
I told you not to tell anybody.
I had to get the word out to my Northridge girls.
And the iCarly crew decides to go to the party themselves and see for themselves that Don Cheadle is cheating on Carly. However, here's something that's very interesting. When we cut back from commercial, we get to see the one and only physical appearance of Socko. You know, Spencer's bestest friend from iCarly who makes his super epic light-up socks, who we never actually got to see once. This is literally the only time we've ever seen him in the physical plane. His only on-screen appearance in the Nick's cinematic universe was just his hand through a door. But then the gang goes to LA to meet up with Spencer's ex, who's gonna give them plastic surgery or whatever to make them look unrecognizable from the iCarly cast, so they can fully spy on Don Cheadle without being recognized as, hey, you're from the interwebs. And then the party's getting set up at Keenan's house with the Victorious gang.
Let's go pick a place.
A place for what? For our 100-day kiss tonight at midnight.
It's gonna be good.
Can I watch?
No.
I'll give you $20.
And we cut back to Spencer's ex, who has completely transformed all our main characters into completely different people. And I gotta say, the makeup actually looks pretty good here. These guys would probably be unrecognizable if you didn't tell me. If anything, they'd be like bizarro versions of the iCarly gang. However, when they're about to leave, they realize that Gibby still looks the exact same. So the ex gives Gibby a hat and sunglasses, and the hat is a Drake and Josh hat. What in the Christ? So Keenan and Kel and Drake and Josh exist in this universe. So the Keenan and Kelliverse and the Drake and Joshiverse is like a pocket dimension within the iCarly and Victorious universe, and I'm losing my goddamn mind! Then we get to the party, which is in full swing, and Beck apparently finds a jacuzzi out back.
Jade loves jacuzzis.
Sometimes I pretend I've been captured by witches and they're using me to make human soup.
Right there, man!
And as some of the cast goes to hit the jacuzzi with Mr. Sienkowitz, the iCarly gang arrives, and they all split up and hunt for Don Cheadle.
Like the Spice Girls? Whatever happened to Baby Spice?
Cool.
But when Spencer gets in the jacuzzi, we get this lovely shot. And we cut back to Carly, who catches Steven right in the act, pulling the same game on Tori they did with Carly. So they all take off their makeup and have a ye ol' whining sesh. But then Tori comes in and is starstruck by the iCarly cast, until they drop the bombshell that Don Cheadle's a cheatin' Chester Cheetah. So they all come up with a plan to expose him in front of everybody. And then after the commercial break, the one and only Kenan Thompson actually arrives on the scene, and he starts a wild goose chase for a guy in a panda suit with a tennis racket.
You're Kenan!
Oh my god!
Yes, he's famous. Where'd the panda go? Why does everybody want to borrow money from me? Half the original cast of all that?
I am losing my mind! How far does the Schneiderverse go? But then they get Kenan to help out with their grand plan. They expose Don Cheadle live on iCarly, broadcasting to bajillions of people throughout the multiverse. And Steven's life is completely ruined. Yeah, that's right, they did it, they ruined his life, yeah! Then Pogo's Pizzeria dies. And then we get the scene. The most prolific scene in Nickelodeon history, the second most. After Rex and Sam have a freestyle rap battle, we get Tori and Carly and the whole cast of both shows singing a combined version of both their themes, titled Leave It All to Shine. And my god, they do such a good job mashing up both the songs, and all the different combinations of characters singing along together. And man, it just gives me goosebumps watching it now. The pure nostalgia coursing through mine and everyone else's veins as they sing is unreal. I mean, does it like make any sense? No, how do they know the lyrics? But it's such an amazing celebration of both shows, and it's such a great way to close out one of the most prolific crossovers in kids' entertainment history. Like, my god, this was a historic climax of our species when it came out. Like, both their flagship shows getting a crossover, and it was over an hour long. This was just the dream back then. And you give us this final scene to wrap it all up in a perfect bow. It was perfect. Everything, down to the last minute detail. But now, I guess, let's move on to the finale. Because, of course, after 4 seasons and it becoming one of the most popular shows of Nick's history, the show went out with a bang. So Sienkowitz wants to do a play, but nobody can agree on where they should have it. And Sienkowitz gets all bent and says that everybody's too negative.
You wanna eat some pancakes on a rocket ship?
Nobody ever knows what you're talking about.
So he dares everybody in the class to say yes for the rest of the day. And we get such wacky things as Andre going to write a song with a girl that he hates, and Beck having to take Pogo's Pizzeria to a drag race, and Jade messing with Tori when she has to say yes. Wait, I'm confused. There's no way this is the final episode. This is generic as hell. Hold on, let me check the Victorious wiki. Yes, Season 4, Episode 13, Victorious. The 60th episode overall and serves as a series finale. How the hell could this happen? I mean, iCarly got the full-blown finale where all the characters go their separate ways, but then the sister show just gets nothing? Well, what if I told you in reality the show may have been a ticking time bomb? As allegedly, and I want to say allegedly, the cast and crew members may or may not have been partaking in certain activities that are, well, they tell you not to do them in school, I'll say that. And let's just say that there might be a reason Ariana Grande gets to have an item shop tab. And it's possible Nickelodeon was afraid of some things possibly coming to light, so they just decided to scrap the show out of plain fear. But hey, I don't really want to get all into that. This is a positive video. Yippee, sunshine and rainbows and cheese balls. But yeah, enough of that. Let's just talk about more fun trivia and stuff. Yay. Like, for example, let's take a look at where the cast is now. Starting with our main lead, Victoria Justice. I mean, it's kind of a running joke at this point that her career pretty much fell off the face of the earth after this show, which is kind of true. But looking at her IMDb, she didn't have a lack of appearances and stuff or anything like that. She was just in a bunch of random-ass projects. Like, how could we forget her voicing that weird badger thing on Penguins of Madagascar alongside Jeanette McCurdy?
Saturday, September 4th, the Penguins of Madagascar team up with Nick's biggest stars. Ooh, it just sounds dangerous. Don't miss guest stars Victoria Justice.
I've got this peanut butter Winky here and nobody to share it with.
But yeah, overall, she never really re-achieved that level of stardom with the show. But I mean, like, let's be real, do any of these kid stars really do? Okay, we'll get to you later. Moving on to Andre, also known by his alias Leon Thomas III, who was Monster's singing voice in Robot and Monster, Big W. But yeah, other than that, he had a bunch of minor roles in bigger projects here and there. Though from what I've been seeing, I think Matt Bennett, the man, the myth, the legend who played Robert Shapiro, seems to have a pretty lengthy career post-Victorious, appearing in stuff like Grey's Anatomy and even Shrek 2 Retold. This is big. But he still seems to have a pretty good relationship with Ariana Grande. And looking at the freaking Ariana Grande wiki, he has an entire page dedicated just to him. And looking at this tab titled Relationship with Ariana, Jesus Christ, it's so long! I don't think they're in a relationship or anything. I think they're just good old friends. As well as apparently also good friends with Elizabeth Gillies. And I swear to God, I got collectively gaslit by the internet when researching this, because I thought they were like married or something, but in reality, according to the Victorious Wiki, what's known as ELAT is just a fan theory combining the two and shipping them in real life, saying the two should be destined to be together forever, whatever. But it says on here that they're just close friends, so that's good enough for me. Also, Elizabeth has a husband, so there's also that part of it. But anyway, Elizabeth seems to be doing pretty well for herself. She played Catwoman in the animated DC film Catwoman Haunted, as well as that one episode of Family Guy where there was that lady who wanted to, like, take over Lois's life. Yeah, that was her. Also, it appears she's, like, one of the main characters on this show, Dynasty, that I've never heard of ever in my entire life. But I guess it's very popular, so that's cool, I guess. I think Robbie was also in that, so that's cool. Avan Hoyega, I think that's how you say it, seems to be in a bunch of random things that never heard of. Take two! Danielle Monette, who played Trina, was of course Tootie in those live-action Fairly Odd Parents movies, as well as being in Fred 2, Night of the Living Fred. Wait, no, wait, was that? Wait, hold on. No, I was right, yep. Camp 3 is Camp Fred. Yep, I'm sorry. And she was also in Turbo Fast. God damn it. Turbo's got super speed. Whiplash, he jets the lead. Skid mark, propeller flow. Jet saves, he'll take it slow. Smooth moon with those speakers, baby. Burn, burn that fire, crazy. White shadow, big brain, no fear. Now you know the team is here. Those snails are fast. Those snails are fast. Okay, so I know I just went over like every main character, but there's still something I need to mention. That being that Tori and Trina's dad, who, yes, I'm fully aware I've not mentioned him once in this entire video. He just kind of shows up every few episodes for like a scene or two, and that's kind of it. But here's the thing. He's played by a man by the name of Jim Peary, and oh, I wonder what else he played.
I've been in your shadow for hours, but you sense nothing.
The dad in Victorious is Kraven the Hunter in Spider-Man 2. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. And there you have it. There's a look at one of the most popular and nostalgic kid shows from our generation. This show really had a lot going for it. It had some great production budget. It had a wonderful cast. The music was an absolute bop. I mean, hell, I didn't even mention stuff like Freak the Freak Out. God damn, that shit was loaded. And plus, the overall aesthetic of everything is just so amazing. Like, the fact that every website looks like this and phones still have their home buttons takes me back to before the world was overrun by boring-looking, meaningless technology design. Victorious really was a product of its time. Like, pretty much everything in pop culture from the early 2010s is encapsulated in this show. And as someone who's a legal adult now and misses the good old days, it really struck a chord with me while making this. Nick tries to stay relevant nowadays with their loud houses and their Paramount Pluses, but I think everybody can agree nothing's gonna beat the simple era of these live-action shows. I mean, they still have them and all, but I mean, like, were kids supposed to watch Henry Danger and Game Shakers? And I know Skywell was robbed of Game of the Year. None of these are ever going to compare to the likes of iCarly and Victorious. Hate them all you want, love them all you want. These are still going to be time capsules that'll remain a part of our childhoods. And while iCarly may have been Nick's poster child in this era, I think Victorious will always be a nice close second. But I mean, hey, it's not like they tried to reboot the show with one character and then another character handpicked from another show.
Ah, piss.